For the new interns in the audience, my name is Zor Morales. I graduated from this program back in December of 2021. So 6 months from now, I'll be right at that 3-year mark where they say agents or most agents don't make it past the 3-year mark in this industry. So yeah, did 9.5 years in the Marine Corps. And then my wife and I jumped into real estate full time here in Hawaii. And yeah, going strong. We started off in the time when it was hot, when all you had to do to help a buyer or seller was just have a pulse. Got a lot of reps, lots of experience during that time, and then things slowed down a little bit with the change in rates, but we're still going strong. So for those of you that are starting in this challenging time, it's a good time to start because it'll only get easier. So this is our weekly huddle. We typically meet for about 30 minutes and just talk about topics that are applicable to folks that are in your position, just getting started in real estate. There are one or two folks in the audience that have been realtors in the past or were already licensed realtors during their time in the Marine Corps or in the military, which is fantastic. But most of the time we try to keep topics just focused on people that are prepping for the exam or just getting started in the real estate business. And just some general ROE, rules of engagement. We asked for everyone to put their cameras on, just to make this a more interactive experience. If you're in a safe situation, treadmill does count, Nick. So if you're on your treadmill, you can turn your camera on if you want. But if you're driving or snowboarding or something crazy like that, don't worry about it. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat box. I'm also going to drop a link in the chat box for topic requests, so we can start getting some more interesting topics on the schedule for 2024. And also wanted to congratulate a few of our recent licensees. So Victor Contreras, I don't know if he's here right now, but he passed the test and is licensed now in Hawaii. Joe Clemmer and Andrea Camarena. So congratulations.
Thanks, Zor.
And Joe and Andrea, I don't know if Andrea's here either, but
Yeah.
if you guys want to chime in and give some words of wisdom, both on the exam and on the licensing process in California, or at least what you've seen so far.
Go ahead, Andrea.
What's that? Sorry, I can hear you. So I had to take the exam twice. The first time I missed it by 1%. I got a 69. And that was a little frustrating because I was like, man, I was so close. But I just kept studying, and it helped that I recognized the test. But the second time around, it was pretty good. So a lot of study time helped. So don't get discouraged. I definitely didn't. I just added more fuel to it, and now I'm excited to continue to start the journey.
And so that first time you took the exam, do you feel like you learned from taking the exam itself?
Yeah, absolutely. The wording on the exam, you have to pay close attention to, because it seems a little tricky if you don't just slow down and take your time. At least that's what I learned. And just being confident in what you've studied and your material that you've learned helped.
And so as you're coming up on the time of completing your pre-licensing course, were you kind of holding off on signing up for the exam? Were you kind of like, I need to study more, I need to feel more ready? Were you taking a little bit of time to do that?
Yeah, I did. The only thing that actually I think pushed me to take the exam was because my pre-licensee courses were going to expire at the end of December. So I was like, I have to take this exam now. It was like maybe 2 months, but I did take that time to study and be my own motivator and make sure I put time aside to study a lot, and it definitely helped.
Yeah. Do you think if you took the exam maybe 3 or 4 weeks earlier, do you think you would have scored about the same as you did that first time?
Yeah, I think because it was so fresh in my brain, I probably would have done a little bit better. And then it just a couple weeks went by and I was like, man, I don't remember anything. So I had to kind of like start over. I felt like, but again, studying super important. And yeah, I mean, it worked out, so I'm glad.
Yeah. And last question, and how much did it cost you to take the exam each time?
So the second time I took it was $60 for retaking it. However, the first time I applied to take the exam, I think I paid almost 300. I'm not quite sure on the exact amount, but that was because I signed up to get the actual license once I passed my exam. So once you pass, they issue your license right then and there. So it, yeah.
Nice. So basically $60 to take it twice. So the reason I'm harping on that is because a lot of people they never feel 100% ready. They're never like, yeah, I can take this test right now, get 100%, no problem. And so what ends up happening is people delay, wanting to feel ready, and then unforeseen distractions jump in, like a life event, like a relative gets sick or something, or something with your military out processing happens, and then so you're devoting time to that instead of 100% studying. And so my recommendation is to take the exam as soon as possible. So as soon as you've gone through all the material in your relicensing, or as soon as you feel somewhat ready to take it, because then you know what to expect on the exam and know where to focus on, know where your weak points are, know where your strong areas are, and then worst case $60. Whereas, and that's $60, and we can dive into that another time. What that's really costing you over the life of your real estate business? It could be the difference between you continuing real estate or not, because if you wait until you're completely out of the military, and then the stress sets in and you decide not to continue in real estate, then there goes your real estate career. But if you make the decision to take that exam sooner, then you pass it that second time sooner, and then you're already, building your business while you're still active duty, and then you get out and you're already in that production state. Um, so it's, yeah, long story short, take your exam sooner. But yeah, congratulations, Andrea and Joe.
Hey, Zor and everybody. So I had signed up for the CE Shop pre-licensing course, and those are the courses that I worked my way through. So my first month in SkillBridge, I focused primarily on the GGU stuff, so everything there, and then I started spending all the time after that really focused on the CE Shop pre-licensing courses. I completed all those courses. Like Andrea, I signed up for the combined license and exam, and yeah, I think it cost $300. When I so I finished my courses, the pre-licensure stuff, in early November, and when I signed up to take the exam, the next available exam in the closest place to me, which was Fresno, California, which is still about 3 hours away from the Central Coast where I live here in California. That was it was December 7th, so it was almost a month away from when I signed up for it. So during that final month, I took 3 separate practice exams, scored above an 80 on each of those. Those practice exams were all through the CE Shop. So I would just take one per week and then spend the time kind of reviewing what I missed and the things like that. The crazy thing is the last practice exam that I took, I scored an 81. So it was my lowest of the 3 practice exams. So I actually started at an 87, went up to an 89, and then dropped to an 81. So I was a little concerned, like, what did I do wrong? But I also used Conrad sends out that 300 fast facts, like, of real estate. So I threw a copy of that in the car. So when I drove to Fresno and had to spend the night, so there's another out-of-pocket expense. It's about $300 for the hotel and the drive over there. So really, I was probably all in about $600 on the California real estate exam. And then when I started the real estate exam, kicked off at like 8:30 or something like that in the morning. The very first three, so there was 150 questions on the test, and the first three questions on the test, I had no idea even what, I didn't even know what any of the multiple choice answers were even referring to at all. And I literally thought I was taking like the completely wrong, like, am I taking a broker's test or something? Because this is not right. Like, I didn't even recognize the terms at all. Once I got to question 4, things started to clear up. And so I continued on with the test. And there were several questions near the end of the test that, had I not kind of moved through the test at a decent pace, I would have never got to those questions at the end, which were just so easy. Like, they were just the ones that, like, oh yeah, this is like probably first week of pre-licensure course kind of training. So that was my test experience. It went well. Unlike Andrea, I did not receive a result at like when I submitted the test. They said there was a problem with scoring. And so I never actually got a score. I just got an email the next day saying you passed and here's your license. So that was my experience.
And Joe, can you re-explain the why you had to travel? Was there not a test facility nearby where you were?
Yeah, so the 2 closest test facilities that I could find through the California DRE website. So I'm at like basically Santa Barbara County, in near Vandenberg Space Force Base, and Fresno, and then Orange County. I think were like the 2 closest. There was some up north, there were some further south, there's some in San Diego. But I didn't see anything that was like Santa Barbara or Santa Maria. And so the 2 that I looked at, there was Orange County, which had some availability near the end of December. And then there was Fresno that had the earlier test available, like the earliest I could find without driving all the way to San Diego. I think San Diego had like December 1st or something. But I mean, for me, that's 5.5 to 6 hours easy. So I saw Fresno had one for December 7th. That's 3 hours away. So that's the one I signed up to take.
Thank you. And the reason I wanted to point that out is that's California. Florida, I know Florida has kind of a longer process. Colorado as well. Hawaii, like if I just passed my pre-licensing, I could go online and schedule a test to do it in my kitchen. It'd be a pain in the butt because it takes like an hour for them to make sure I'm not cheating in my kitchen. But it's possible to do that. However, in those other states, there's like a waiting list, or you have to do fingerprints or background check, all this crazy stuff, which you don't know about until you actually go to sign up to take the test. And so if you are in that position where you're, kind of waiting to feel fully ready, start looking into those other aspects, because you might, next week you finally feel fully ready, and then now you're on a wait list for 2 months, and it's going to be hard to stay focused for 2 months. So definitely look ahead towards those things and account for those in your timeline for when you're projected to get licensed. Anyone have any contributions for any of that, or any questions on that?
Hey,
All
Zor. Oh, sorry. Somebody else first.
No, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. My camera doesn't work. But on Aceable Agent, they have a timeline during the course. So while you're taking it, it'll tell you what steps you should be completing on the outside of the course, such as fingerprints and scheduling your exam and things like that after the actual coursework is finished. So if anybody hasn't started, I guess that would be my advice. But everybody's already started, I'm sure.
And you said was that Prep Agent, right?
That's that's Aceable Agent. That's the program that I'm using online. They have a guarantee refund, which I don't know if I believe that, but if you don't pass the test, they'll give you a refund. Not the state exam, but the actual course exam for the pre-licensure.
Okay. And what state did you say that's for?
I'm sorry, that's in Florida, but I'm pretty sure Aceable Agent has it for every state. It's just the program will tell you when to keep up with your own timeline.
Okay, perfect. Any other contributions from anyone? And we're going to come back to test prep recommendations. So those of you that aren't there yet, tune in for those. And then those of you that have already passed the test will be soliciting your feedback and any prep material you used for that. I'm just going to drop the topic request link in the chat real quick for future topics. You can just bookmark that link, drop it on your desktop, and then any topics you want to hear about in the future, go ahead and go in there and drop it in. It's anonymous, so don't worry about if you say something strange in there. And then, yeah, just one quick topic I want to talk about is just lead generation during the holiday season. Can someone define for me what lead generation is? Because I know when I was first getting into real estate, I heard people talking about leads and prospects and clients and how they're all different, and you need to categorize them in your funnel properly. And I also didn't know what a funnel was. So, can somebody define for me what lead generation is?
Oh, come on, somebody's got to pipe up here. This one, there was a multiple choice on this on the real estate exam on this. not specifically for holiday season, but lead generation is all about converting your prospects, and like prospects could be like anybody that you know. That could be family, friends, your entire Facebook friends list, LinkedIn connections, all that kind of stuff, and then your leads, turning those really into potential leads for business is converting them into like your CRM and getting, trying to kind of figure out where they are in a buy or sell process, that kind of thing, and how you can potentially help. And then obviously, converting them either to customers or clients is kind of beyond that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, so I like to think of prospecting as like what comes to my mind when I hear the word prospecting is like prospectors back in the day, in the gold rush, they're looking for gold. And so they might be, hammering away at a rock in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing there. They just find more dirt, or they might, hit it rich and find a pot of gold. And so you're prospecting, you're sorting through tons of people. Maybe you're calling a bunch of this list of phone numbers you have, or maybe you're just sending out messages on Facebook to a bunch of people because you have no idea whether or not anything's going to come from that. And then once you're establishing that conversation with them, they might want to buy or sell. Then they're kind of in that lead category. And people, once you get more experience in this, you'll realize like people refer to them as warm leads or cold leads or other categories. But a lead is they're on track to being a client. And so lead generation during the holidays, a great way to do that, or kind of just prospecting really, is by sending out Christmas cards or holiday cards to all of your family, friends, coworkers, etc. And it doesn't have to be physical cards that you're handwriting and taking the 5 minutes per card to do that. You could just there's American Greetings. I'm sure you guys have heard of that company, because I think they do make actual Christmas cards, but they have a really affordable subscription service where you sign up for like an annual membership, or you can just do like one time and send out cards to every email that you have. And so if you think about it, it's like 20 bucks to do that. If you get just one and you send it to, let's say 100 emails, if you get just one out of that 100 emails and you actually lead that person into being a client and help them, and then you get a commission of whatever it is for your area, $5,000 to maybe $30,000, that I would say it's definitely worth it. And there's lots of other, if you just Google Christmas cards or holiday cards if you just Google that and search for ideas for how to send those out, there's so many different sources out there. Ones where you just throw the address in and then it'll send out like a handwritten message that you put for them. that like a machine uses a pen to write the message, so it looks like you took the time to do that. And Tasha just dropped in the send out cards is another great resource for that. Does anyone else have recommendations on that card topic? You can drop it in the chat or unmute yourself. Another thing is just reaching out to people, making phone calls to people that you haven't talked to in a while. And it doesn't have to be, just talking directly about, hey, I would like to see if you want to buy or sell a house. You could just be catching up. That'll naturally, the topic of you transitioning from military into real estate, that topic is going to come up. Especially if you use the Ford framework for the conversation: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And so if you are looking for a way to structure your conversation with people that you're reaching out to, because you're like, this is awkward, I haven't talked to this former coworker of mine in 3 years, and we didn't really even talk when we were in the same unit together. So that'd just be weird. And because your brain is naturally going to want to rationalize why not to call somebody. But if you just see it as an opportunity to practice your skills and just apply that Ford framework, it'll make it really easy. Nick said, the agent I used to buy my first house sends out actual gifts to his past clients. I get gifts from him every year, even still use the towel he sent me last year. Yeah. Was that towel just like was it branded? Did they have like embroidered on there? Or was it just
No, that would have been a nice touch though. It was just one of those like Egyptian cotton ones. Couldn't have cost more than $5 a unit, but it made an impact and I still use it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. And even if it's that's probably a pretty higher end gift to send out to all your clients, but it makes a big difference.
Well,
And like Nick said, at most costs like $5. And if you bought them in bulk, it was probably even cheaper. And it just makes that lasting impression, and people will always remember you. And now every time Nick picks up that towel to wipe the sweat off his head, he's thinking about his realtor.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about it, his average commission is probably $40,000. So what's a handful of towels?
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
drop in the bucket.
Yeah. And that's definitely a thing that's difficult to overcome mentally at first, because when you're just starting out, going from military where you're being paid for everything and everything for the most part is covered by the military, to real estate where it's like, oh hey, here's this education you need to take, $500. All right, and then you got to take the exam, $300, and then you got to pay for licensing fees like 1,500 to 2,000 depending on where you are. And you're just like, whoa, I'm already in the hole, $3,000. I don't have money to put towards gifts for my potential clients or future clients or past clients. But if you do go that extra mile and do that, you'll definitely see the results. It's kind of like that, what you put in is what you get out type of idea. Any other input on that before we jump back to test prep? Alrighty. And one last little quirky idea that I had for lead generation during the holiday season is sending out gifts. So GIF, gifts. Like it costs you nothing aside from like 5 minutes to pick out a good GIF to send out to everybody on your text messages. Speaking of mass text messages, there's also apps where you can send out, just by sending one text message, you send it out to like your entire contact book. And so it really takes you like 5 minutes to send out a message to everyone. If they respond, cool. Then you start that conversation, and it'll probably be overwhelmed for a couple days catching up with everybody that's actually responding. And then, but if they don't, then who cares? It costs you 5 minutes of your time to send out 500 text messages. All right. And now we'll just jump back into talking about test prep recommendations. My go-to recommendation for really anywhere in the country is the PSI practice tests. I took that. and so it's a 90-day. They have a few different setups that you can sign up for. The one I signed up for was 90 days subscription with 500 questions or a question bank, and it allows you to do practice mode and then test mode, where it's so in practice mode it tells you your results, like if you got the question right or wrong immediately after each question. And then test mode, it treats it like the actual test where you don't know what your score is until the very end. And so I recommend signing up for that or very similar type exam where it's going to kind of put you in the zone of what it's like to take the actual test. And because it's a 90-day subscription, you could start it basically when you're starting your pre-licensing. And so you can kind of see the progression and how long it takes you to take the test and how well you do throughout the time you're doing your pre-licensing. Whereas if you wait until you're done with your pre-licensing, you're going to sign up for this 90-day or however long you sign up for, and you're going to end up probably wasting 2 months of it because you're not going to need it after you pass the test. So that's one resource that I highly recommend. I know a lot of people recommend Prep Agent, and then CE Shop is a source for your pre-licensing itself, but I believe they also have test prep features in there. So those are two other resources I'm dropping in the chat box. And if anyone else has recommendations, I'm sure there's some other new cutting edge test prep stuff out there. Feel free to drop it in the chat box or chime in. But that's my approach to that. And my general approach, everyone learns differently. I think Nick and I were pretty similar in how we prepared for the exam. So I did and so for one little confusing topic when I was first signing up for pre-licensing was I thought there was just gonna be like one specific pre-licensing that you sign up for, because like that's how it was in the Marine Corps. That's how it is for most military jobs. There's just one source of information. For pre-licensing, there's tons. Like in Hawaii, we have like 50 different options for pre-licensing. It's just a company that applied for a license to offer pre-licensing education, and once they're certified, then so there's tons of different methods and prices, all that stuff. And when we actually went through, because my wife was also getting licensed at the same time, they actually offered us a scholarship. And so we were like, hey, we're both doing this at the same time. Do we really have to pay $500 for each of us? And so they actually gave half off for one of them. Tasha said there's also a link we drop in our Facebook for the military discount for CE Shop. Yeah, nice. And Joe said it was almost 40% savings. Nice. So yeah, there's lots of different pre-licensing courses out there. The one that we did the self-paced, which is they just send you the textbooks and then you just teach yourself. And they have practice exams on their website. And then once you score high enough on the practice exams, on the individual chapter practice exams, then you can move on to the final practice exam. And then after that, they give you a certificate saying you can now take the official licensing exam. And so what I was doing to prep was I would listen to because they'd send you the textbook in PDF, and I would put it on, there's lots of different apps, but the one that I use is called Voice Dream. And so I'd listen to the textbook while I was reading it, because I get really easily distracted when I'm reading there's like no noise around. I'll start thinking about something else, or I'll just, everything will go in one eyeball, out my brain completely. And and then also I'll read slowly because I'll get distracted. I'll go back, I'll read a paragraph, and then I'll have to go back to the beginning because I realized I wasn't paying attention. But so listening to it on Voice Stream while I was reading it, and you can adjust the speed on there, so I could, in the time it would take me to read through it without Voice Stream on my own, I could listen and read it twice. And if you look into like how your brain works and how you receive information, if you're receiving it through your eyes and your ears, that's two different channels that you're using, and so it's going to end up sticking better if you do one or the other or both. And so yeah, that was my technique. Read through them multiple times, and then listen to it as well, just by just listening to it, like while I was on the treadmill or lifting weights, whatever. And then I was doing the practice exams. I think I did at least 10 or 15 times the full beginning to end 80 question practice exam. And by the time that I was when I first took a practice exam, it took me about 4 hours. So it was pretty ridiculous. I had to take some breaks because I was just lost in what the questions were asking. And then by about the eighth time, I was able to do it in under an hour. And then after that, it was like 45 minutes consistently, just buzzing through all the questions and actually understanding what the questions were asking. So that is pretty much all my prep advice for that. Just get lots and lots of reps doing practice exams and understanding the material. Any other recommendations out there? Alrighty. There's nothing
Hey, Zor,
else. Yeah, good.
I've got one quick recommendation. So on CE Shop, they have a it's like a pacing thing that you do at the very beginning of each one of the three courses, and it says, do you want to go fast on this course? Do you want to kind of take your time, or are you more of a slow kind of learner? To be honest, I was like, hey, let's see what we can do to kind of push through this faster. What I liked about CE Shop is it kind of adjusted. So if it pushed you too fast, and there's like all these periodic quizzes and everything, if you're clearly not grasping the concepts, like the program believes that you should, if you're on the fast pace, it will ask you about a third of the way through and like, hey, let's slow you down, let's bring you back to this lesson, and then keep you on pace. It still took the time needed in California, because there's like a minimum time that you have to spend on the pre-licensure courses. I think it was like 7 weeks or something like that. But even taking the moderate pace, got it done with plenty of time.
So all you folks in California and anyone that's signing up for CE Shop, keep that in mind. You can sign up for those different options. Alrighty. And so this will be the last weekly meeting we have until next year. So I won't see you guys until next year, 2024. Hope you guys are applying all the business planning and the goal setting that we talked about last week. I know it makes a tremendous impact on your success because, just think about it. If you're like going on a hike and you have no idea what the trail looks like, you may or may not make it to the top of the mountain. But if you have your path, you have a map of your overall path, you know where you want to go, you know the checkpoints that you're looking for along the way, it's pretty low chance you're going to get lost along the way and you're going to make it to your destination. And same thing with real estate. Hey, I want to make $250,000 this year. All right, that averages out to 10 or 15 commissions for my area. For your area, it might be a little more. And then so you say, all right, 10 closed deals. All right, now I need 10 closed clients. How many clients do I have to go through to actually close a deal? 2 or 3. So if that's 2 or 3 and 2 of them kind of fade out because they decide they don't want to buy because of whatever reason. So that's 3 times 10 or 50, whatever the number is, 30. So I need to have a pretty good client relationship with at least 30 people in order to reach that goal. How do I get these 30 people? Okay, I need to reach out to at least 20 friends, because if I reach out to 20 friends every month or every week, I'll get at least 2 or 3 folks from that group that will actually want to talk about buying and selling. And so you can see you can just break it down into math like that. And maybe money isn't your goal. I know my wife and I, we sat down and did some goal setting, and initially I wanted to say a dollar amount, but she said I would rather do impacting lives because of the purpose that we have in this industry. And so we set our goal of impacting 50 lives, 50 families. So maybe it's that, and then and you can just do kind of like a general math. If we helped 50 people, and if it was at the low end of our price range here in Hawaii of 500K, that'd be like 500,000. So if we reach that goal and only help the lowest price range, we'll still more than exceed our goal. So yeah, definitely plan out your course for your hike for 2024, and it'll make it a good year. I'll stick around for a few more minutes if anyone has any questions, but have a wonderful week and enjoy the rest of your December.